Ooh.
Welcome everyone. So this event is part of Black History Month, and as we know, the theme for this year's Black History Month is celebrating our sisters. So I have my two sisters here, whom I'll be introducing shortly. But to start with, let me introduce myself. My name is Lorain Mponela. I'm originally from Malawi, but I live here in Coventry now. I'm the author of I Was Not Born a Sad Poet, which is a book that gives a voice to asylum seekers. I was in the asylum system for many years, but thankfully I have refugee status now, but I continue to do this work. So this evening, this session will be celebrating ourselves, celebrating my sisters who are with me here online, and celebrating all women around the world. So yeah, without much further ado, I want to briefly introduce one of my sisters, Farisai Joymore Dzemwa. Farisai is award-winning published author of a book called Healed, Road to Recovery. I will let her introduce herself. So please, Farisai, you're welcome.
Greetings, good people. Greetings, my two sisters. It's really lovely that we're doing this because we have kind of traveled the sisterhood journey for quite a while, and celebrating each other is really great. Yeah, as you've said, my name is Farisai Joymore Dzemwa. I am a published author of the book Healed, Road to Recovery. I'm also a co-author in a book where the other two sisters are also co-authors, an anthology called Hear Our Stories. These two books actually, when you get to read them, because I'm believing you're going to read both of them, you will see that we are sisters for a reason. We share similar passions, and that's migrant communities. And in this season that we're talking about migrant sisters, migrant women. And among other titles, I'm a mental health professional. I'm an NLP practitioner. I'm a timeline therapist. I'm a public speaker. I'm a community social and health champion. That one I actually got an award yesterday because I am proactive in facilitating progress, facilitating quality life, facilitating social engagement, integration of migrant communities, especially women. And as we speak, I'm affiliated to a charity called WOW, which stands for Women of Wolverhampton. And that's where I'm based, Wolverhampton. And from that charity, we cater for all women in Wolverhampton, whether Black, white, young, old. As long as you're a woman who lives in Wolverhampton, we celebrate successes, we share problems, we seek solutions to problems together, we celebrate birthdays, birth of our children, and stuff like that. We just uplift each other as women. And that's one of the reasons why I got the award yesterday. It was a surprise that I was not expecting it, but hey, there you go. So yeah, I'm excited that today we are actually doing this to celebrate each other.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So now I'll also bring in my other sister, Althia. So Althia, to also introduce herself, but in short, Althia Barnett is a mother, a grandmother, and an author of the book Bouncy the Bumblebee. So, Althia, can you tell us more about yourself? Who are you and why this book?
Hi, my sisters. You know, I love you both dearly, and I enjoy this journey that we go on each time we meet, whether in person or online. I do enjoy this journey. I am originally from Jamaica, and I am a mother of many children and grandchildren. So I see different characters in my children. Well, the book, I am an author. I'm health and social care worker, and at the moment I'm studying health and social care in university. I wear many hats. So, yeah, I wear many hats because I make soap and I sell candles and candle holders and different things. Things, that uplift women because we need to uplift each other. Yeah, and now the book, I had a dream that there were some bees floating about in the garden, and one bee went to look for the others and saw them sleeping and thought they were intoxicated or something. But I couldn't use the word intoxicated or drunk in children's book. And in the dream it said, "Oh, it's a book." And yeah, I've been trying for years to get the book together. But when I joined the group, that's when I realized I can write my book. And the book is published on Amazon, and so people can get the link whenever they can. And I think it celebrates children of different character, and it's funny, it's witty, and I know kids will enjoy it. Thank you so much, my sister.
Congratulations, both of you.
Thank you.
And also congratulations to myself. So yes, I'll come back to you, my sister Farisai, now.
Okay.
Why did you write the book, Healed, Road to Recovery? Are there lessons, even one lesson that you want to share with our viewers today? Please.
Well, this book is jam-packed with lessons. If you want to grow, you need to get a copy of this book. When I wrote it, initially it was a therapeutic activity because I was having counseling, and the lady that was counseling me told me that it can be therapeutic to write whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through. And I started off jotting down a few things. And when I experienced the therapy side of it, I just literally poured my heart out on paper. And then one day my son read what I was writing, and he was shocked. He said, "Mom, I thought I knew you. And this is a whole new you that I never even knew existed. Why is it you hide that side of you?" And that is when this whole thing turned into a book. Because he said to me, "Mom, people need to know who you truly are and appreciate you for who you truly are. I've watched you being judged for so many things, culture-wise, tradition-wise, religion-wise, but people don't fully understand. Until they read this book, you might actually die and they would never have known you." So yeah, I wrote the book. It literally dissects life's dynamics. I used to think these were dynamics that we only find in Zimbabwean lifestyles. But as the book has been out and has been read by so many people from so many different countries, I'm finding that actually all these things are just human stuff that we experience. They're human dynamics. And they're not just Zimbabwean or African as such. And so I'm really glad that I wrote the book, because a lot of people keep telling me that you have spoken for us. We would never have had the guts to spill the stuff that you've spilled. And you could say this book has given me boldness to actually go out there and speak about these things. It talks about healthy relationships. It talks about toxic relationships. It talks about traditions that need to be changed because they don't work anymore. The world is developing and we can't be stuck in traditions that worked 200-300 years ago. And so it does talk about the change that needs to happen. And it does it in such a way when you see the ripple effects, the impact of those traditions had on me and has on many other people. You literally do not need anyone to tell you that these things need to go. So yeah, I wrote the book initially just to comfort myself and to offload, because I felt like I had no one to tell the deepest inner emotions that I was feeling. Everybody expected me to be this strong person because I had to be strong from a very young age. And so people just became used to me being the strong person, but I was breaking inside and I needed an outlet. So that book was an outlet. And I think it's creating outlets for many other people. Thank you, my dear.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And there's a number of things that I could relate to. Definitely, I haven't gone through what you have gone through, but I have read your book as well. So I also have so much respect for you to be able to have the courage to tell that story, which sometimes many of us, we don't have the courage to even begin to start to tell what we have been through. So thank you so much for telling your story in this way. You also talked about your son being your inspiration to to actually publish the book. I remember I wrote a poem. It's called "Do Not Come Back Here," where I was reflecting on my experiences when I was in secondary school and how my fellow students and how basically in general the school treated me when they discovered that I was pregnant. So I sent, because I wasn't sure how my son would react, so I sent him the poem, and it was like, oh, actually, this, you need to publish it because I see courage in this story. So yeah, for me, I was like, oh my God. So that gave me the energy to even start sharing it. I started putting in a website, and I even submitted to the Other Side of Hope, to their online literary magazine, and they published it. Why? Because he had said, because initially I was like, I don't know how he will he will take this, but he did encourage me. And in terms of now starting to write, I hear you where you are saying you were pouring your pen on paper. I also talk about how I came up to write my book. I started mainly during the pandemic. And it was also because when I wrote the first poem with the help of Lorain, who had asked me to explain what I mean when I say, God, I love my son, on my WhatsApp status, when I wrote that, women in Zoom were crying. She's talking about my son. She's talking about my daughter. So that was the moment where I also realized that I'm telling my story, but I could also be speaking for others. Yeah. And so that's how I also just continued to write. Do you have maybe a paragraph that you can read, or even the blurb of the book at the back of the book, or anything that you want to share, please?
I think if I read the brief explanation that's at the back of the book, fantastic. I think it will trigger people's curiosity. Yeah. And I think it sums it up nicely, what this book is all about. We have in Zimbabwe a tradition that is called Chiramo. So I'll read about that. It says here, Chiramu is a tradition that is best described as a game of bonding between brothers and sisters-in-law in the Zimbabwean Shona culture. For Farisai, that's me, it escalated into the violation of the very essence of her womanhood and all it stands for. Sexually violated by a brother-in-law who should have been looking out for her, Farisai's life, health, and function in society became a tangled spider's web. One she struggled to detangle, and the ripple effects were endless. A near-death car accident was the rude awakening that helped her realize that unless she dealt with this tradition-inflicted secret of her abuse, her whole life would be nothing but a series of damaging, self-sabotaging events that could only be stopped by coming out of the rat race. The rat that is dogma. This is actually a true account of how culture, tradition, and religion play havoc in many African women's lives. Yeah, so it is about how abuse is normalized in many cultures, in many traditions. I used to say many African cultures, but as you know, I'm in the West Midlands in Wolverhampton, United Kingdom. I have engaged with people from different parts of the world, and I've since learned that it is actually a tradition that is like a global pandemic. Every tradition I've spoken to, they all do the same thing. They want to hide that sexual abuse has happened. It's taboo to talk about it. They would rather talk about the weather, about anything on this planet, but talk about sexual violation. But I think it should be spoken about. And I think lived life experience stories carry that emotion that should trigger people to think twice before they embark in the act or before they choose to ignore it, push it under the carpet. And, you know, that's basically what the book is really about. I mean, it talks about all sorts of other things in life that we experience, but from the perspective of how they are impacted by just that one experience, everything else gets impacted and you become a totally different person to the real person that you're supposed to be. So, yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now I'm coming to you, my sister Althia.
Oh, dear.
Has your work been published anywhere else? And what is it about? Because the book that we talked about is a children's book. But
Yeah,
I also know that you are a writer, and but also maybe also reflect on the challenges in terms of publishing your work.
Yeah. Oh, yes, my sister. My book has been published. Not the book. I have things that have been published in different places, like as Farisai said, we had a contribution in Hero Stories, which I was surprised when I find that people loved what I write, because I just came into writing a couple years ago when I joined Migrant Voice, and that poem that's in the book, I think it's the second to last poem. I really can't believe that people loved it, but it's a true thing, and we have to speak the truth, because that's how I felt when I left my children. That's how I felt when I was here, because no mother, people will just think you just up and migrate, especially when you have to leave your children behind. No mother in this world, I don't think, would want to leave their children and not see them grow up and not see them finish in school and go through high school. And I missed so much graduation when I was here, trying to get my leave to remain, that even my youngest child graduated without me being there before I get my and she was 3 when I left, and she graduated high school without me getting a chance to go. So on my it is not easy on people when they migration. And but we're coming back to the book publication. I think people should see the mistake I made. I didn't get my book proofread by anybody. There was one lady that helped me to edit it, and she was a teacher. And while I was working, she came to visit her mom, and I showed her the book, and she helped me to edit some of it. And that's the only edit to get. My daughter tried to edit it, but she couldn't edit from a distance. So that was another thing. You have to find editors, and it is and try not to just jump to the first thing that is. I think it was excitement and all that caused me to fall in the wrong, because Amazon didn't give me the proper guidance of how I should really publish my book. Yeah.
Okay. So with your permission, can I read your poem from the book?
Oh yes. Yeah.
That you just published.
Yeah.
I'm trying to replace the pin. Okay. So the book where Althia, Farisai, myself, and other people contributed to, it's called Hear Our Stories. So I'm reading a poem called Fighting with My Conscience.
Conscience. It's my conscience.
Conscience. Okay. Conscience. Okay. Thank you. Althia Anson-Barnett. Where I am from is bright and sunny. I have an intention, the intention to go somewhere far. But I'm fighting with my conscience. I have no money. The idea keeps nagging and nagging in my head. Oh my God, my children need schooling. I know, they must be fed. I do not know how long the journey will take. My children are left with older siblings and my family with the tasks, all for love's sake. I want to turn back when I see the big, shiny bird, but the feeling of trepidation would not allow me to utter a word. Hoping against hope, I continue with my journey as the desire of new life in a new world beckon. The thought of earning money, I get to the end and begin to weep. I weep for my children and for my life. When darkness falls and the night is silent, I put my head down and I cannot go to sleep. The thoughts of my homeland and the love-filled years of what I left behind. The effortless tears flood my eyes and I'm filled with fears. All these thoughts keep going around and around in my mind. not knowing if what I came in search of I will ever find. Whew. Thank you. No, that was, yeah, that was such a,
I still can't believe I wrote that.
yeah, such a
Yeah.
moving poem. So my sisters here, I wanted also us to look at what next. Yes, we published, like Farisai, you published your book in 2021, is it? Yeah, 2021. Althia, this book was published. When was your book published?
I think it's 2022. 20, I think it's 2022.
2022. And then
yeah, November 2022, yes.
Fantastic. So do we have plans? Are we writing? What next? Yeah. Farisai, do you want to get us started? You are on mute. You are on mute, Fali. Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. I was saying, yes, I am writing. I've written poetry that I've called Lost Conversations. That one is about the stuff that I would have wanted to talk about with specific people. So there's a few poems of conversations that I would have had with my dad had he lived long enough for me to be old enough to have a conversation with him. And there are some questions that I have that I wish I could ask him if he was alive right now. So a few of the poems are about that. They are like letters to my dad. And then there are a few that are conversations I feel I should have had with my son during the time that I was bitter, that me and his dad were no longer together and I was having to go the parenting journey on my own. And then there are also a couple of conversations that I should have had with him as an adult, but did not know how to have them because as a woman, some of these things, I feel they are male perspective and they should be spoken about with a male. But because I was a single mom, I had to make it up as I went. And of late, I've had conversations with his dad, and there are some perspectives that kind of are clear now from the conversations, from a man's perspective. So I have a few stuff that I say in the poems to my son. And then there are a few poems that are words stolen from my son. Like me, he used to jot things down. So I kind of compiled some of the stuff that he used to jot down in his journal. He showed it to me, and I've created poems out of them. I'm still to get approval for them to be published. So and then there is a few that are to my family. That's my siblings and my mom. I was raised by a single mom as well. And there's kind of a balancing act there between me being a single mom and me having grown up in a single parented family. Yeah, so, and again, I have conversations with people as I write, and I'm also learning that these dynamics I literally believed were just my family dynamics are actually dynamics for a whole lot of many families as well. And I think in me writing these I call them lost conversations, because they are conversations that I should have had with specific people, but I didn't. So I'm having them in the form of poetry. I'm hoping that these people, those that are still with us, when they read the poetry, they can respond to me, to the stuff that I highlight in the poetry, and I might actually then do a follow-up book on the responses, provided I get the permission. That's the broad idea behind the poetry. And the other book that I'm writing, I've actually submitted the script in a competition. That one is called Beyond the Light at the End of the Tunnel. In brief, we always encourage each other that, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel, be strong, there'll be light at the end of the tunnel, and stuff like that. But nobody actually ever talks about what exactly is in that light at the end of the tunnel, or what exactly lies beyond that light at the end of the tunnel. My personal experience is that I have actually reached these lights at the end of these tunnels. And so by saying there is more than one light, we always say there's light at the end of the tunnel as if there's only one tunnel. If you look at the book Healed, there are so many tunnels that I was in. And so many times people would say, oh, please be strong, don't give up, because there are times that I actually was giving up. Don't give up, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I did see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I did enjoy it. But beyond that, I always found there are other tunnels. So what we should really be saying is, there are lights, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are lights at the end of channels, at the end of tunnels. Because in life, you face many tunnels. And so we should not mislead each other, because the first time I experienced the first light, I was so excited because I thought, this is it, I'm all sorted, no more troubles. But life is not like that. So I think with that book, I'm trying to get the message to people that, you know what, yes, continue to encourage me to wait for the light at the end of the tunnel, but also prepare me for all the other tunnels to come and the lights that come after. So I personally would say each tunnel that you overcome makes you stronger. So it probably makes other tunnels a little bit easier to walk through, run through, drive through. I don't know how you go through your tunnels, but it helps. Each time you overcome, you become a stronger person.
Yeah.
And we should also continue to say, I'm there for you. Rather than just saying there's light at the end of the tunnel, I always like to say, I'm there for you, whatever happens. That's what the other book is all about. So I've submitted it in a competition. We will know about the results in January, I think. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Oh, we wish you all the luck. I'm sure you will get somewhere, because even if you don't win, you will have your book written.
Yeah.
You will have your book ready. So that's amazing. I can't wait to read both of your books, The Lost Conversations and Beyond the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, they are all deep. I would love to read those conversations, because I also have so many conversations with so many different people, conversations that will never take place. But yeah,
Exactly.
here we go. Okay, so Althia, do you have something to say, maybe in a minute or so, then we can wrap up?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I was getting a call. I was getting a call, so yeah.
All right.
Oh, how can I walk in Farisai's shoes and footsteps? I don't think I'll be able to. This woman, oh gosh, I said
You're
You're
muted.
muted now. Mm.
You're muted.
Unmute yourself, Althia. We can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
There you go.
sorry guys, she keeps calling me and I'm putting the Zoom on mute.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying you're gonna have to do some editing before you put this out.
It's okay.
Yeah, I was saying, how can I walk in Farisai shoes? I think they would burn my toes and pinch me so hard. Even though I'm way older than you, I couldn't fit in them. But for myself, I have been through many, and some of what Farisai is in Farisai resonates with families. But as us in Caribbean people, we don't have such a big, strict culture like some African countries. I don't know much about them, but from what I heard with culture and tradition and thing, I don't know. Maybe if you're born in it, that's all you know. But for me, it was born different way. As far as I know what I can be like sometimes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine. And we also, because we all have like, our own path. So yeah.
Yes.
We,
Yeah.
we,
And there's
we
some traditions that you love and you want to keep, while
Mm.
some, as she mentioned, needs to go.
Yeah.
Then they're not needed in this 21st century.
Mm.
But I'm happy for you, my sister. And you know that I am happy for
Okay,
you.
thank you very much for all your contributions today. And for our viewers, I'll put links in the description below where you can get Althia's book, where you can get hear our stories, where you can get I Was Not Born a Sad Poet, and also where you can get Healed, which is also on the screen by Farisai. So thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed the session. You can put your
Yes,
questions in
I
the
do.
description. If you